I would like to thank tonight's presenters and everyone join us in person and live via live stream. Thank you for being here. Courtney Fisher will lead us in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All our board members are in attendance. There are a few addendum materials on the following topics: awards and recognitions, communications and community relations report, early graduation requests. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the addendum.
I move that we approve the agenda with the addendum.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? The motion passed. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes for as presented, board work session, executive session, student discipline, regular board meeting, and special meeting with ICRIP. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that we approve the minutes as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Next on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda, which includes authorizing the payment of claims, approving the supplemental financial information, and approving the human resource activity. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Hereby move that the board approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I
Any
second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passed. Next on the agenda are the self-explanatory reports, which include Idaho General Fund Revenue Report, Food Service Free and Reduced Meal, Head Start Monthly Program Report, Student Enrollment, and Student Suspension Reports. Next on the agenda is the awards and recognitions, which will be provided by Courtney Fisher.
Good evening, Madam Chair, trustees, Dr. Howell, Ms. Jensen, and our student representatives. Welcome this evening and our guests. Our district recognizes every month individuals who support and embody our district's mission to think more, learn more, and be more together. So we have several awards that illustrate this. First up is our CAKE Award. School District 25 believes that a safe, supportive, caring, and respectful environment is critical to student learning. The School District 25 Education Foundation, in partnership with Johnson Family McDonald's, supports the Learner of the Month Award to recognize one elementary learner and one secondary learner from our district from October through May. The CAKE Award celebrates positive character, attitude, kindness, and encouragement toward others. Nominations for the CAKE Award are submitted by a teacher who has observed the nominee's behavior and are approved by the school's principal. CAKE Award recipients receive recognition here at the monthly board meetings, a gift card for the recipient and their teacher, and a $50 donation to purchase books in their name, both courtesy of Johnson Family McDonald's. So first up, we have our Elementary Learner of the Month, Ms. Capri Casper. Would you join me at the podium along with your teacher, Mrs. Aubrey Eldridge? And you can just kind of stand to the corner of the podium. That would be awesome so everybody can see you. So Ms. Capri Casper is in the 5th grade at Green Acres Elementary School. Thank you for being here tonight with your family. And in her nomination letter, Ms. Eldridge wrote, "Capri is well known at Green Acres for her incredible character and kindness. In our class, she is known as our class hype girl." Love that title. She is always giving out compliments and words of encouragement to her classmates. She goes above and beyond to make sure everyone in class feels welcome. Capri starts each day with a positive attitude and a huge smile, which spreads to the rest of our class. Her constant positive comments always bring a huge smile to my face because she is just so nice. Not only does Capri spread joy and happiness, but she always tries her hardest in class. She's never afraid to ask for help or say she doesn't understand something. Capri is a hard worker who puts forth her best effort. Capri has taught me so much as a teacher. She has taught me the power of kindness and a positive attitude. It's a privilege to have Capri in class, and I will miss her greatly when she goes off to middle school. Wow, Capri, that is quite a testament. Thank you so much for being such a positive influence in your classroom and your school. We're going to give you this certificate, and then we have some treats for you outside. So congratulations. Congratulations, and thank you for the nomination. And if you'll let our board congratulate you as well.
Thank you so much. Keep up the good work, okay?
What a beautiful smile. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have our secondary learner of the month, Miss Aubrey Davis, and her teacher, Miss Jamie Bertowski. Are you here? Please join me up at the podium. Thank you so much for being here. Did I pronounce your last name correctly? Okay, good. Okay, so Miss Davis is in the 10th grade at Century High School. In her nomination letter, Ms. Bertowski wrote, Ms. Davis has gone above and beyond to create a welcoming and safe environment in our percussion ensemble class. We have several brand new musicians to the class, whereas most of their peers have been in band since the 6th grade. Aubrey has taken lead unprompted to spend time both inside and outside of class to help these students individually with their playing so they feel successful in our ensemble. She is a huge help in promoting the culture of our band program to make everyone feel welcomed and show students that it is a safe place to make mistakes and learn from them. So again, thank you so much for modeling amazing behavior. And thank you for the nomination. You too will get a cupcake kit that's waiting for you and a $50 donation to your media center in your name where you can choose those books, and then a gift card courtesy of Johnson Family McDonald's. So thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next up, we have our PIES Award. The Employee of the Month, or PIES Award, recognizes our employees who positively influence educational success. The award is for employees who go above and beyond in that effort, and they are nominated by their peers, which is what makes this award so special. PIES Award recipients receive a $50 gift card from Lookout Credit Union, our educational partner in this award, and the nominator also receives a $25 gift card. So we are honoring Mr. Brett Barton and Ms. Krista Campos is who nominate him. So if you will both join me up at the podium. Mr. Barton is a 4th grade teacher at Wilcox Elementary School. Thank you both so much for being here, and thank you for the nomination. Mr. Barton was nominated for the PIES Award by Ms. Wilcox Principal Krista Campos, and in her nomination letter, Ms. Campos wrote, Brett Barton is a quiet, compassionate educator. He has been a part of our school district for more than 20 years, and in that time has experienced many changes in technology, curriculum, programs, innovations, and policies. Throughout all of that, I have never heard him speak an unkind word or share a negative thought about anyone or anything. Brett is usually the first or second person in the building each morning. His classroom is organized and welcoming to all learners and staff. You'll always hear soft background music playing throughout the day, and the classroom atmosphere is calm and inviting. Learners know they are cared for in his classroom. He willingly collaborates with his colleagues and shares ideas and suggestions in a positive, forward-thinking way. Mr. Barton has a fabulous sense of humor and engages his students in learning through funny voices, animated stories, and focused and targeted instruction. Mr. Barton is well loved by our entire Wilcox community. Are you going to do one of those voices here for us tonight? Not to put you on the spot or anything. So thank you so much for modeling positively influencing educational success. And I'll give you this. And this is the real goods from Lookout Credit Union. And this is for you. So thank you so much. And we'll let our board congratulate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that concludes our recognitions for this evening. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is public written comment on topics not pertinent to the agenda. Action items, no written comment was received and no request for public comment. So we'll move on to reports. We'll begin with student representative reports, and we'll start with representative from Century. Do we have Century? Probably should have let them leave, but.
Good evening. My name is Addie Marshall, and I am the ASP president out at Century. So recently at Century, we've been doing a lot. We have SpongeBob the Musical coming up, which is the 7th through the 11th. Our band and choir are doing a fundraiser. It's called a Potato Pizzazz fundraiser. So we're doing a potato dinner. We have a solo ensemble on the 26th. We just finished auditions for our talent show, which will be hosted on the 27th, and we have 8 very talented students that will be performing. And our choir also has a requiem with orchestra. For academics, we have our finals coming up soon, and our class officer and ASB elections just finished, so they will be taking over the new tri, so you will start to see some new faces. We just finished the course selection for next year, and we recently had the 9th graders come in to Century, and they got t-shirts, and they just kind of helped finish out their course selection. For athletics, boys basketball has districts. They have a game tonight against Pokey. Hopefully they do well. The girls basketball team just finished last week. Our cheer just had districts, and they placed in Palm, and our dance also placed in Palm, so both of them will be going to state. Our wrestling have districts this weekend, and we are hosting. And last weekend and this weekend, our debate team has qualifiers for nationals, and they have been very successful. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Highland?
Okay, my name's JC White, and I'm a senior and just a senior officer. So first, we want to congratulate Ellie Burnside and Elise Wood on their National Merit Scholarship finalists. This is a huge recognition for them, and it puts them among the top academic students in the nation. We are super proud of them and all the hard work, and very grateful that that we could say they're Highland students. Winter sports and activities are reaching an end this season. District boys basketball and district wrestling tournaments are this weekend. Cheer and dance both made it as district champions, and they will both be heading off to state. Girls basketball also put in a great season, and we are very proud of their efforts and work. Our choir and orchestra delivered an amazing performance at the ISU Jensen Hall Performing Arts Center last night, and I heard it was amazing. Highlands Drama Department is getting ready for their spring performance, which will be Legally Blonde, which all the students are very excited for. And then a lot of efforts from our student gov for the Make-A-Wish event, which is one of Highlands' annual traditions, and it's one of the most well-known and highlighted events. And so we're working for fundraising and starting to get all the activities for the teachers and students together. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Cocello?
Hi, I'm Taylor Foster. I'm co-junior class president. So our girls basketball team is ranked second in state, district champions, and headed to Boise on Wednesday. Our cheer team is also 3-time district champions and headed to state. Boys basketball starts district tournament tonight against Century. Wrestling starts district tournament tomorrow, and we should have several state qualifiers. Our chess team won districts, and we have 4 students headed to state. It is Kindness Week at Pokey. Yesterday we did Pin It Monday. Today was High Five Day. Tomorrow is Buttons of Positivity Day. Thursday's Kindness Ties Us Together, Wear a Bow or Bow Tie. And Friday is Wear the Kindness Color Yellow. Pocatello High School has kicked off our Make-A-Wish fundraiser. We are fundraising for Jackson, a 12-year-old who's diagnosed with muscular dystrophy. He wants to go to Walt Disney World. Pokey Stugo will be hosting a basketball game, Guns vs. Hoses, on March 13th, 2024. Pocatello Police Department against the Pocatello Fire Department. All proceeds will go to Make-A-Wish.
Pretty good.
Speech and debate had national qualifiers last weekend. The ERR students are selling their annual valograms and delivering them on Valentine's Day. The proceeds go for cooking in living skills class and trips to the springs such as bowling and tickets for the PRT bus. Drama has started rehearsals for their new opening show in March. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Courtney Fisher will provide the Communications and Community Relations report.
Okay, hello again. So most of my communications report this month is self-explanatory. I'll draw your attention to just a couple of things. I need to renumber these because I split the recognitions out from the communications, so the numbering is a little wonky. So page 5, we surpassed 12,000 followers on Facebook, so I'm really happy about that. That number just continues to incrementally climb, and really 12,000 learners, 12,000 families. I feel like that's a really decent reflection of our reach directly to the people that we serve. On Next page, I've put top performing posts. Interestingly enough, the most popular post, top performing post, was similar to last month, which was cancellation of school on Thursday, January 18th. And then that second top performing post was about these really awesome ceramic projects done by Pocatello High School. So that got a lot of engagement with that story as well. On page 7, I wanted to draw your attention to the new PV Tech website that we rolled out. PV Tech, when we originally rolled out our new district website, was a program page. Now that it has its own facility, it's considered more of a school, so we rolled that and transitioned that into a fully functioning school website. And so we just launched that last week. I want to thank Cami for helping me get that out with Rhonda's help. But if you want to take a look at that, PV Tech just did a really great recruiting video, kind of showcasing all of their programs. John Young helped them create that. So we have that in a really great landing page for that program, as well as all the program listings. So we're continuing to build that out as a recruitment tool for PV Tech and all the exciting things happening over there. And then another story to draw your attention to is the swearing-in ceremonies for 2 board members, including Mr. Knopf as a new member, and also the restructuring. And so I have a link to that article for you as well. Page 8 includes some headlines, and those headlines are from around the district. I've tried to kind of categorize them so you can just kind of get a bird's eye glimpse of what's happening around the district, what's happening around the state. Right now, lots of legislative news, so I made it its own category this month. So around the Capitol focuses on those stories, and then around the community. And then your appendix has all of the links that the report normally has. Also wanted to draw your attention to our Education Foundation, Terry Perkins Educational Scholarship. That has until March 8th. It's open for submissions, and we are already at 59 submissions for that, where last year we received a total of 38. So I don't know if I don't feel like we've communicated it any differently, maybe a little bit with the website, and we have a pop-up. I did an Infinite Campus email to all high schools, so I think that might play into that a little bit, but we're really, really happy with all of that. We've received 15 applications from Century, 24 from Highland, 18 from Pocatello High School, and 2 from New Horizon, which is great because we had to really solicit those because we want to give this money away. It's a $6,000 scholarship, $3,000 per year, renewable for 2 years. So it's our vision for it, which is to be a really premier educational scholarship, competitive, and it can be used not just in Idaho, it can be used anywhere. So it's a really unique scholarship, and that way we're really proud of it. And then in your packet is just a sample. So I've been trying to kind of listen to just what I've been hearing is the board wanting to communicate and make the board business more accessible to the public. And when we were at convention in November, I believe it was Ms. Judy and Ms. Clark went to a session about maybe doing a board brief. So I've just kind of been working in the background to come up with a draft of that kind of communication. I want to be able to set this up to be successful, so I want to make sure that the parameters we put on this, if we decide to go this direction for publication, I don't think it's realistic to get it out immediately after a board meeting, but maybe if we said we could publish it by Friday of that week, I think that would be reasonable. That would give Renee, Ms. Johnson, and I an opportunity to kind of build it as a team, get your input, make sure that it was reviewed, get quotes from you all. But this is just a possibility for that. So I wanted you to take a look at it, and this can certainly be something that we continue to refine and build collaboratively so that we make sure that the business that you're doing is accessible to the public.
Here in your addendum?
Yeah, I don't see
It should be an attachment. It's not an attachment?
It's
I
not.
just see your communications attachment.
Okay. It should be an
Yeah, I was just looking
attachment.
for it.
It was a
Okay,
separate
maybe.
attachment.
Okay.
I will make sure that you get it, and I will make copies for you all before you leave tonight. I'll go do
That'd be
that
great.
right
Thank
now.
you.
So that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda is curriculum and instruction, school safety and athletics. We'll start with Amy Bowie. She'll present the 5th grade social studies textbook adoption parent selection.
Good evening. Included in the packet are the fifth grade applicants, the parents who volunteered to serve on the textbook adoption committee. Each board member was asked to select one, and you emailed those selections to Renee. So I will share with you the 5 names that you will, through action, appoint this evening. Aaron Larson, Blake Christensen, John Bolger, Brianne Christensen, and Ann Thompson. Those were the 5 who were selected, and at this time we would ask Madam Chair to select the 2 alternates by random draw.
Oh, okay. The first one is Rick Pongrantz. The second one is Alicia Steffens.
Okay. Okay, so like I said, this evening, you will be asked to appoint these volunteers and alternates through under your action items. I will, first thing in the morning, send an email to everyone, give them instructions, get materials in their hands. The process starts February 21st, if you remember. So they have about a week and a day to look over materials before the publishers come in and start presenting. And I think that's all I have. I think that concludes my report.
Awesome. And do you know if there would be enough for any board members that want to look at it as well? Or do you have enough for those?
The initial answer to that is no. We've got the exact amount from the publishers, but I have a copy for the curriculum department that I would be more than willing to let you take turns perusing and looking through. So
Thank you.
So yes. Okay.
Next on the agenda is a Head Start Child Outcomes Report, which will be presented by AJ Watson and Cassie Lozmick.
Good evening, board members. In your board packet, you'll find there's a Head Start Child Outcomes Report, and I have Kathy Lozmack. She is the coordinator for the Head Start program, and she's going to give you some information just in regards to updates and some data and where they're at with their plan for the beginning, kind of the first third of this school year, and also explain to you how you can look through and read the information in that report.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman and fellow trustees, for allowing me to speak this evening. My report will be very brief. As the district, we have 3 assessment periods, and this is our fall assessment, which is our baseline. We use a program called Teaching Strategies Curriculum, and thus Teaching Strategies Gold is the assessment tool. So it is aligned. It is a state-recognized curriculum and assessment tool. And as per Head Start, anything that we use must be research-based, so it is reliable and valid. All of our teachers have gone through to be certified to administer the assessment tool and do the rating. So one of the pages, you'll see the domains for teaching and assessment is the second page, and that just shows you the areas that the children are working on and the different content items for each of those domains. In the assessment tool, we look at kids because of their age, what are they capable of doing? And so we look at what is typically expected of children 3 to 4 or children 4 to 5 years of age. And so there's a range. When children start out, we anticipate, because of the population we serve, that many will be starting at below expectations because they just have not had early learning experiences. Many will be meeting. Once in a while, we'll see some exceeding, but very rarely. So you have the data before you that gives you the TS Gold Report snapshot. And as you can see, there are quite a few meeting, but meeting for us, we really like to see kids by the end of the year at least 85% or higher. So this gives us our starting point and for the teachers to know what to work on with the kids. We also have further on the program achievement goal. So we do this program-wide. The teachers get together and talk about an area, and this time they're looking at language and with using rhymes. We've seen that decline, so we want to be putting activities in place that will help kids with those skills, that helps them then develop recognizing sounds of letters and then being able to read later on. Then you see the action plan, and the last page will show you the action plan for how we are going to help children to obtain to where as many of those children are meeting or then exceeding expectations for kids their age. Any questions that you have?
I don't, but that is a really beautiful report.
Oh.
So nice.
Well, thank you. I have a wonderful children's services manager who puts a lot of time in it, and at our PLCs, they go over this data on a regular basis and really delve deeply into it to see what more we can be doing to help children with getting the skills necessary to be successful when they get to kindergarten.
Thank you. It's really, I feel it's really informative. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Next, Sue Pettit will report on the following: early graduation requests, out-of-state overnight travel requests, and policy 80501, gifts for second reading for deletion.
Okay, in your packet you have the early graduation request, and I believe there's an addendum to that. I hope it got added on, and if not, we'll bring it to you in March, but Renee said she got it added on. So we have a total of 71 students that are early graduating. They're graduating at the end of second try, and the majority of them are working to go on to post-secondary school. So if you will approve those when we get done. And then the out-of-state overnight travel, where there's a correction in there. And I don't know whether you guys noticed it, but I just did. Softball is not going to St. George for 12 days. They're going for 2 days. So that should actually be 3/14 through 3/16. And so if you can take care of that one. And then the environmental club from Pocatello High School is going to the Idaho Envirothon. And they've gone a couple of times, and it's been a very educating experience for them. And then last but not least, we have the policy 8510, which is our gifts policy, and that's a repetitive policy, so we're asking for deletion on second reading tonight. That's mine.
Next, Tanya Wilkes will report on the following: camp requests, Advantage Plus Credit Union sponsorship agreement, and spring athletics schedule and travel.
Good evening, Madam Chair and board members. Really quick, we are already talking about summer camps. That should help liven up the night, right? We have a football camp in July and 2 volleyball camps in June that we would like you to look at and approve. And then next on my agenda is the Advantage Plus Federal Credit Union sponsorship. They would like to continue their sponsorship of Highland High School and Century High School for the next 7 years on putting their logo on the basketball courts.
How
And-
come those schools aren't mentioned in the contract?
Say that one more time.
How come the schools are not mentioned in the contract?
In the contract up above, it says Highland High School,
Then the
and
second-
on the top, it says Century High School.
Okay, I'm
Right,
sorry.
right under the
I
heading.
read right past.
It's right
there
here.
it But thank you for catching that. I probably would have missed. Okay, and then finally, you have our schedules, our spring athletic schedules and travel. We were very hopeful to start spring early this year. So we got softball in there, baseball, track, and what am I missing? Tennis, thank you, and tennis. Any questions
How come Highland only has 2 home games, or 3 home games?
for baseball?
Huh? Yeah.
For baseball? It rotates each year, but we are putting on some tournaments, and so in those tournaments, they are considered home. But part of that, I believe, was just because of the rotation from last year, finishing their field and so forth.
Okay. Well, it's just-
Yeah.
So how many do the other schools have? Just
Well, I
out of
know
curiosity.
Century is exactly 8-8, and Pokey was, can't remember, it was close to being half. And
Right.
It was, they had a little more away, but Highland only has 3 home games and
With their new turf.
14
Yeah.
14 away games. I
Oh,
just went,
so
wow.
they kind of switch off.
it's very similar to like football season and baseball. Sometimes we can't get all those games in, so we do double headers. And so if we went to the school last year, they came here, we owe them. So it's 2 in one night rather than 1. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Good
I was just
catch.
curious. I know you.
That was a
I
good
love that you
question.
looked at them all. Any other questions?
We will now move on to business operations report, which will be presented by Jonathan Ball. He report on PV Tech, bond discussion, proposed Highland Rebuild and Design Committee, vendor approval, request for Century High turf, and emergency school closure.
Good evening, board members. Thank you for your time this evening. First, PV Tech update. We're progressing very nicely. ACM is doing a great job. They're inside the building. We're 80% done with our framing. And so that's good. We've got several walls that are sheetrocked and waiting we got about 45% of the electrical done. And then plumbing, we're kind of waiting. We're literally, they're cutting some trenches, literally some trenches, and then with the mini excavator digging out to put some plumbing in the floor, so that way the classrooms will be fully functional with any water needs that they have there. On the exterior, the early, I don't know, the weather, we have an early spring, I don't know, but the weather's allowing us to get a good start on that, and on starting on Monday, actually. Our first thing is we need to move water and sewer lines so that they're not underneath the building there. And then that's the same crew that will start on the foundation for the addition on that building. We anticipate steel should arrive at the end of the month. It will sit there for a little bit until we can, pour this concrete slab and go from there. There'll also be a big shipment of insulation come as well, coming actually out of California. Again, the steel was, the majority of that, the overwhelming majority of that was donated by R&M Steel out of Caldwell.
For that metal building
For them-
donation.
Yes.
Cannot be.
yes. So we're still on track. We confirm that every time. They would have loved to start in the fall, but just with some, just other things, some weather, some permitting and so forth, they thought, well, we'll just jump it really good at the start of the spring. And so right now, we're still anticipating that we'll be able to be open come August. So, and we'll keep you up to date with that. Again, if you'd like a tour, please, anytime we can schedule that. So, as
I
always.
think we'll plan to tour maybe toward the end of next week.
Okay.
So the board, many of them are going to the ISBA conference in Boise.
Okay.
That's Monday and Tuesday, and so maybe by Thursday, Friday, we'll get some times for them all to come out there and tour with us.
Okay, we can definitely do that. Also included in your packet are kind of some reimbursements and some retention worksheets from Alpine Construction Management. Just kind of wanted to show you the numbers there of kind of how we track that. We received 4, they call them pay applications, we call them invoices. And that, again, per the contract, we deduct 5% retainage on there. They're signed by both the architect and by our crew between Brian and I to make sure that they're not billing ahead of their construction schedule, which they're not. And so, and then the first one, I don't know how it's in your packet there. The other one is, again, we submit, once we pay it, we submit that to the state. And that's that ICRS grant application there. So that's how
So we have to spend it before we
Correct.
get, okay, so we're not sitting on 600.
So
No,
everything's
correct.
covered so far,
That interest?
Yep.
which
Most,
is so awesome. That
Correct.
$6.5 million grant
that is correct. That's
for that PV Tech.
Yep. And so
Can't
that's
say
where
no to
we're,
that.
these are the worksheets that we track there, track all that.
Great.
Okay. Okay, now, I think the next one is just a bond discussion. Again, that's really for all of, for you there. Again, just wanted to mention another timeline that the language for a bond resolution has to be to the county by March 22nd. And so that's kind of our
Deadline, realistically, it'll probably be a week before that. That's the Friday of 22nd, it's the Friday of spring break, so it'd probably be by the 15th. So the last board meeting before that date is the March 13th, I believe there.
And that's enough time to get the language to the lawyers and everything?
That would have to be done ahead of time. So, on the 13th, that's when you would, we would have had made some decisions of the bond amount. We would have got with our financial advisor there. He would have priced out the bond rates in August of what they would be for, and then that would all be encapsulated inside a resolution that would have the ballot language and so forth. So we would need that ahead of that March.
So if we
13th
do
day.
that, we need a special meeting?
We could
End
do a
of
special
month.
meeting, or,
Okay.
yeah, could do it during our, March work sessions or.
Oh, so
Or
that
board
isn't
meeting.
too late then?
No,
Work
no,
session
not the
is-
board meetings. correct.
Oh, okay, okay.
No,
That's-
again, as long as we have the information ahead of time.
Uh-huh.
And so this is a good opportunity to kind of start talking about that and so forth.
Mr. Balls, will you go ahead and talk a little bit
Yep.
about House Bill 521? Is that where you were going?
That's where I was going. I just
Excellent.
wanted to go there. So, again, I believe the board has kind of seen this. It's been in the news, House Bill 521, school facilities. I've got a summary here in front of me. Again, it's a governor's proposal on school facilities. It's a 30-page bill. There's a lot of moving parts in there. Essentially, that the state would create or sell a bond for us in the amount of close to $2 billion for the entire state, and that we would have access to this money. Again, it would be based on our average daily attendance, with some caps on the low end or in the high end. Again, there's a lot of requirements there that we feel that we can meet quite easily there, regarding a 10-year maintenance plan, and some different clauses that they want to make sure of, about a 4-day school week and a 5-day school week. Again, that's there's also, it removes the August election date as well. Again, I think I'm kind of reiterating. If you have any questions, let me know. There's even establishes a council for a model school facility, and so there's definitely some oversight with this. The tough part for me, we just haven't seen the numbers. I mean, we've seen the big numbers. We haven't seen our district level numbers. We're pretty sure they're out there at the state level. We have not seen them from our legislators or any of our group people. So as soon as we know that, I know we'll be able to. One of the biggest ones that I don't know if it's going to stay in there or not, it would be that this also repeals the bond levy equalization. And so that was our 25 to 30%, that the state would pay for that. And that's a big deal. That's a big deal for us. There's some districts that are even up to 50%, and it holds them harmless for 2 years, only 2 years, but if you're 15 or 20-year bond, that'll be, I just don't know how that would.
But then I assume that they would get that money that would potentially pay that bond off. It potentially, the ones that
Potentially
have
could,
those.
sure, pay off or at least pay the payment there.
Oh, yeah.
So yes, that would kind of be the case there. Did I miss
I think you
anything?
did really well, Mr. Wells. Thanks for that overview. I would just say to the board, as we watch and learn more about this bill, we will have a better indication of what our portion of that will be. We've heard some preliminary numbers, and it would cover a significant portion, I think, of what we were asking for in the bond. And so we will have a much better idea when those numbers are released to us. I think, as Mr. Balls pointed out, that bond equalization, I think they're going to have to take that into consideration. Some of the rural districts, the preliminary numbers that I was made aware of, don't change things significantly in those districts. And so, like, for example, salmon is the one that comes to mind, and they've been highlighted a number of times in the press with some sewage drainage underneath their building and so forth. And those plumbing costs, gosh, for us, those are 250, 300,000 sometimes. And if that's all they receive, then that's not going to do much for them. So I just wonder if they're going to massage that a little bit more for some of the rural districts. This bond equalization thing has me kind of puzzled as well. And so once we see those numbers, that's why I don't know that I would suggest that you act on this tonight until we, again, have something more concrete and that we can present to you. And as soon as we learn of those numbers, we'll have you back in and then maybe ask for your direction as far as a bond would go at that point. Just right now, there's so many unknowns. We do have a little bit of time.
Sure.
I mean, we have about a month here
Correct.
that we're working with. We also know that the legislature has indicated that they would like to end that session before the end of March, because all the seats, I mean, in the House, I believe, are up for election. And so they'll want to get out on the campaign trail. And with that, I think we will, once we know more, then I would encourage the board to act. But for right now, I think your patience would be warranted.
I have a question, just jog my memory. When do we normally do our levy vote? Is that in August or no? When did, or was that
So
in March?
historically, it's been March, and that is,
And that's off.
that's off the table. And so we've kind of been talking internally, I think we're leaning towards more November. If that's, did I overspeak there a little bit? It's either.
No, that was a
either
real
au-
cough. That wasn't
Yeah.
some sort of sign or signal.
No, that's not.
No.
Well, and especially if this House Bill 521, it might repeal that August, so it'll either
Right,
be in
that's what I was
August or May, or excuse me, November or May, and I definitely would say the November, just because.
Voter
the-
turnout might be great.
Yeah, it will. But yes, just because I have to have it, to hit our budget hearing, I have to have the budget done and completed by the end part of May. So if we're voting on a levy in the 20th, and I have to turn a week later to get the budget in the paper, that's a little bit too tight. So that's, I believe, among all the school districts, they're leaning towards November.
November.
So that way you know at least that number, that piece of the budget.
Thank you.
I think in a perfect world, in a perfect scenario, we would have enough money through this school modernization bill that we could get our Highland project done as we had outlined it. Again, this is the board outlined it previously. That the House Bill 292, which has become law, I think it's 511 or something.
93.
And those monies, by all indication, will continue. And so the first thing that would do is pay down our supplemental levy. And if we have that guarantee over, again, a number of years, then as we go out for a levy, we would know that X number of dollars would go back to supplant that, essentially. And so I think we would be in a really, really good place when all this kind of comes to fruition, when it does. And so, but I agree with Mr. Balls. I think we're probably looking at that November date for a supplemental levy. So that's why if we go for a bond in May and then to turn around and ask for supplemental in November, that's a little tough maybe for our voters to completely understand. And so hopefully all of this will work out, best case scenario or pretty good case scenario. Yeah.
We haven't heard anything about them adding the plant facilities levy. I mean, there hasn't been any, remember, that
I
left
It
off
said that
I
we
think I
could
did
still
hear
do
that. Yeah, I
It
think,
says that in the bill.
correct. I think we can apply that
Okay.
House Bill 292.
They did. They
Dollars.
renumbered them. And so
Okay.
school plant facilities is actually 3.
Okay.
And then savings for reserve
Am I
is
right? That
4.
wasn't there before?
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
Yep.
So, yeah, we will look. So that'll be in August, end of July, August discussion on some taxes, because we'll have to, we submit our request to the county for the taxes that have already been approved, as well as get ready to see, the supplemental levy for the next 2 years that would probably go in November. But then the language would have to be in August, or September, so it'd be an August discussion. Would you like me to continue on to my
Oh,
next
yeah,
item?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Again, we are going to rebuild Highland. And so this is kind of, we kind of gathered some input from members of the board, and we kind of put this as at least a starting point of a Highland High School rebuild and design committee. Again, you can kind of see some different things, some guiding principles that, we want to make sure. And again, these are there might be some more. These aren't all inclusive, but at least a good list of kind of what, these are the things that we want to see in a rebuild, whatever that looks like. Same thing with committee norms. You'll see kind of our draft of a committee makeup. Some individuals listed there, and then just some, placeholders for different, of course, the board, Highland administrators, staff, and then parents and community representatives and so forth. And then, again, some priorities, obviously listing the spaces that were destroyed at first, and then some other priorities as well, and then just the different considerations that this committee would help formulate. This would be again, the direction of the board. The board still has that full authority. This would be more of the recommendation and opportunity to get a lot of input there. But some other considerations, obviously insurance money, any bond, funding sources, which we just talked about, House Bill 521, timelines, and then we'll coordinate with Ms. Fisher, our Director of Communications, for communication and plan and so forth. So that's before you in action, just kind of, if you'd like to, at least set this committee there, set that in place.
So in action, then we'll discuss it. Is that correct?
Yes, whatever you
Or
would like, Madam
whatever
Chair.
you guys want to do.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
So later
It's
tonight.
so confusing, we, a lot of
Right,
times
right.
discuss it when we talk about it, and then,
Yep.
or we put it
And
off
we're
till the end.
gonna
I don't
change
know.
that, I think.
Exactly. And later tonight, we'll address that with that policy change for second reading
Yeah.
to the formatting would change that you would take action after the discussion of the item on the agenda where it's in place. And
Yeah,
So
that
for
was
tonight,
a good
it's still
suggestion,
your discretion.
Well, you guys say, if you want to discuss it now, if you want to just discuss it at the end during the discussion. Okay,
Let's just move on and discuss it.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you for
Okay.
the decision.
Sounds good. The next one in front of you is again, a request to approve our turf vendor for the Century High School turf field. We had previously, through a national contract, used Hellas Construction to construct our previous two football fields, football and band and soccer fields, there for Pocatello at Lookout Field, and as well as Highland High School field. Again, we're very happy with them. They've done a good job, even with some of the challenges that we occurred at Highland. They were still able to get it done just as quick as they could there. And so it is our recommendation that the board use the national vendor, and using this through a co-op of the Sourcewell. It was Sourcewell that put this out for bid, that that they vetted all these different companies, and which Hellas was one of them. But for all of the dirt work, the installation, the safety cush drain, that amount comes to $1.295 million. We did put in, because of what we learned at Highland, a $50,000 contingency, just because we know that there is some lava rock out there, and we'll have to work through that. But even with that, that's still $5,000 under what we had budgeted in the capital improvement plan. And so this would complete the high school fields, the fields for our district. So that is in front of you now. And then last one, easiest one, 2 days after the last board meeting, we had to call off school. And that was January 18th. And so we need action item from the board to ratify that decision and certify the emergency closure because of adverse weather. And so there's a resolution and then the certificate that we have to sign. Again, this gets sent into the state. Part of it has already been, we've already notified them that we did have to call, but then they require the minutes and different things as well. So that's in front of you now.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the Human Resource Report presented by Brenda Minor, just a policy 7503 for deletion, second reading.
Good evening, Board. Mine's a real easy one. This is the one that we talked about last time that is under policy 71, I gotta make sure I have it right, 7503. And just in the fact that it's in your packet and that this is for that continuing education, 12-month certified employees, the policy is recommended for deletion. It just doesn't follow our current practices. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move, next is, public and written comment, but we haven't received any. I'm sorry. Next is the superintendent's report, which will be presented by Douglas Howe.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. So oh goodness, I was looking ahead here and trying to see what our visits look like. Tomorrow, we have some student discipline hearings, and I believe we have 4 of you committed. And so we will be able to proceed. Since that's executive session, we need a minimum of 4. And then on the 15th, we have our legal training with board and cabinet in the afternoon. We will also be doing some legal training with our K-12 administrators and also our department coordinators. They will be part of that in the morning as well. So we're fortunate to have Amy White coming and presenting in person. Next up is Monday, which is a holiday for our district and with President's Day. But the board, a number of us will be attending Day on the Hill for Idaho School Boards Association. We have the opportunity to participate in a couple of workshops and also go see Senate and House Ed in action. But I think most importantly, on Monday evening, it's our visit with our local legislators and talking to them again as a follow-up to our December meeting as to what we would like to see happen the best for public schools. And so we'll have that on Monday and Tuesday of next week. And then the following week on the 27th, Key Communicators is scheduled. And if you're interested, I know, I think last month we had maybe 4 of you interested. And so if we could just pace ourselves a little bit with that and stagger it so that you all have an opportunity to come. But if you're interested, let Ms. Johnson know, RSVP her. And then placeholder, again, 2 weeks out for student hearings on the 28th. And board work session on March 5th. And board visits will be Friday, March 8th. You can see your various assignments. We have transportation up for 2 of you, and then an Alameda visit for 2 of you, and then an Idaho visit for 1 of you. And then that afternoon, we also will have the Idaho School Board's training. We have that planned for a couple hours that day as well. Then you can see community prevention on the 12th, and we're out a full month to regular board meeting. And then some other items in there for you into March. And then next up is the policy 2201. This is meetings of the board. And as I mentioned earlier, one of the items that we wanted to address here through, I don't recall, I think came up through maybe board self-evaluation, reflection, and just with our procedure, essentially. And that was when the board takes action. And so rather than lump sum all of those at the end, we'll just change the format that you would vote on it after it's been discussed. Also with that, we will have public input at the beginning of the meeting for items on the agenda or not on the agenda, rather than waiting till the end before action for items on the agenda. Also, I think it was last week, the board just talked a little bit about assigning time limits to agenda items. Because we had a little bit of a discrepancy within our ranks here about assigning times, and is that legal? Shall we, if you say 10 minutes and it takes 5, is that okay? Or do you have to stick to the schedule? So we actually asked Amy White for some counsel on that. And she suggested that rather than assign a time to each individual on the item on the agenda, if you just wanted to set a time for the end time of a meeting, and then you prioritize those things that you want up front, and then if you don't get all the way through it, you'll pick those up at a subsequent meeting.
And limit the things up front so that we don't run out of time at the end.
Right, so you would just have to, budget your time that way, rather than say, this one's 5 minutes, and this one's gonna be 20 minutes, or so forth.
Because I worried about that. It says will be assigned a time limit, and that would also mean the student discipline hearing, and there's just no way to assign time limits for each of those students.
Right.
Because some take a few minutes and some take a little bit longer. Anyway, it's just, when it said will be, I thought maybe it should say maybe. I don't know. Anyway, but I like the idea. What do you guys think about that? I mean,
What I was wondering too, if you wanted to adopt the policy without that new addition for this reading, then we could revisit that at the next one, but we'd be able to implement the other parts of this policy next month, and then work on the timing of.
Because I have another item that I wanted to bring up
Okay,
related, I don't know, do we want to talk about it now or when we're doing a motion?
I don't care. You pick.
Yeah, so the question I had kind of is in that same paragraph where it talks about how agendas are set and who is responsible for those, because I think what's happening now is not what's written here. And so I guess what I'm wondering is, do we need to adjust this so that there's at least 2 members of the board that are involved in the agenda setting? And whether it still remains with the superintendent to come up with the original agenda, and then the board, the chair and the co-chair are involved in, I don't know if it's necessarily approving it, but essentially having that input before it's brought before the full board.
I think everybody should have input.
Well,
I mean-
I'm not saying that everybody shouldn't have input, but I think that it should start at the superintendent and then get input and basically be looked
From
over.
everyone.
From everyone.
Like,
Or
everyone
at
should
least the
submit.
2 co-chairs would be the ones that would meet with the superintendent. And you can solicit just the way, I've appreciated that Renee sends it ahead of time. We all get to review it, but I think the
I
2
think-
of you should be present in order to approve the agenda.
I'm fine with whatever. Because
Are you-
I just think it should be everybody anyway. And so.
Right, but I'm saying the final agenda should be approved. It should involve the 3 of you as opposed to just the 2.
I think it's all of us that approve it, isn't it? That by Friday, that all of us.
well, we've sent out a preview. But
and then
as far as-
everybody-
Yeah, and definitely receive feedback that way. But the final agenda in the discussion, after we've received the feedback from all board members, I think what I hear Ms. Clark saying is that 2 of you need to be present to finalize what will be distributed.
I like it. And that wouldn't change the fact that it requires 2, still the same thing, 2 board members to put something on the agenda, or I guess the board chair and the co-chair. That, I guess I'm not clear about that.
And that's not really necessarily written here as well. That's maybe just been a kind of a procedure that we've followed.
It is written somewhere. I wonder why it's not here.
That's why, that's the part, this has just been very vague to me, how agendas, and maybe that's something,
Maybe we should
Needs to
add
be.
that as well,
Yeah.
because either 2 members can put an item on the agenda, or the chair and co-chair, which is also 2 members. I'm fine with,
Okay, let me look at some language on that. So you can wait on the whole thing, or you can take action to not include the topics will be assigned, and then we'll bring it back for another revision with the time as we learn more about that, and how we want to proceed through who develops the agenda.
I'm fine with approving the way it has it right now, just because it consolidates those public comments and it makes those agenda items. Like, I think that's kind of nice to go ahead and move forward with that. If you guys are, anyway, we can vote on it. but-
Okay,
And then you want to do an addendum?
Well, no, it would just be bringing it up again for another reading, which we would be bringing it up again anyway.
Right.
It's just if we want to go ahead and move forward with the first changes
And maybe
and
is
then
it
add more
possible-
changes.
I don't know if
It wouldn't be an
any,
addendum, it
or
would
if there
just be
are other
an
school
addendum.
district policies on, are there other examples?
yeah, ISBA
Show how
has what they call model policies, and we can see what they have as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So, Ms. Johnson did incorporate the agenda topics will be assigned time limits prior to the agenda being posted. We would just need to remove that and go ahead and have you adopt the rest of that, and then we'll come back with the other two items in a subsequent revision.
That sounds good.
That's what I'm hearing. So we'll.
Thank you.
Yeah, we
when
can
we
vote
get to
on
that
it.
point
like, I
for
mean,
action, then we'll do that. Okay, all right, that's it for me, so off to
Okay, so
action.
we'll now move on to action items. The first item on the, oh, I'm sorry.
Written comments.
I already said that before,
Okay, sorry.
Dr. Howell, but we don't have any written comment. So that's what it says here.
Okay,
Okay. We will move on to action items. The first item of business is to appoint the parent volunteer and non-voting alternatives for the fifth grade social studies textbook adoption committee. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the Board of Volunteers and non-voting alternatives for the fifth grade social studies textbook adoption committee as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This motion passed. The next item is to approve early graduation requests. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board approve the early graduation request as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. The next item is to approve the out-of-state overnight travel request. Is there a motion?
I hereby move the board approve this out-of-state overnight travel requests as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Any opposed? The motion passed. The next item of business is to hear the following policies on second reading for deletion. Policy 7503, continuing education for 12-month certified staff, and policy 80501, gifts. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board hear the following policies on second reading for deletion as presented, policy 7503 and policy 85110.
Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passed. The next item is to approve the camp request. Isn't that part of that other motion?
That was out-of-state travel.
Oh, okay, so camp request, I guess it is two separate things. Is there a motion?
Hereby move that the board approve the camp requests as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passed. The next item is to approve the Advantage Plus Federal Credit Union sponsorship. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that we approve the Advantage Plus Federal Credit Union sponsoring agreement.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This motion passed. The next item is to approve the spring athletic schedule inclusive of travel. Is there a motion?
Hereby move that the board approve the spring athletic schedules inclusive of travel as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This motion passed. The next item of business is to consider taking action on a bond decision. Is there a motion?
I hereby
Should we
move
table that?
table the bond decision.
Awesome. So the motion would be to table it. That's the motion. Is there a second on tabling it?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. I haven't voted on anything, but just put me down. Am I supposed to vote?
yes.
Okay, yeah, just put me down for all that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? This motion passed. The next item is to approve the formation of the Highland Rebuild and Design Committee. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board approve the formation of the Highland High School Rebuild and Design Committee as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passed. The next item is to authorize the use of national vendors. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board authorize the use of national vendors as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I think,
Madam Chair, if I can.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Point of clarification.
when Jonathan was talking about the, back to it, I'm sorry. The Highland Rebuild Design Committee. that
Oh, okay.
You wanted to discuss that when we were taking action.
Oh, yeah, I called for any discussion. Does anybody want any discussion on the rebuild?
You were the one that wanted discussion, so I just want to make sure that if you were.
Oh,
that's where we needed to discuss it.
I didn't have anything to say, but anybody else have anything to say? Thank you. So we're,
Did we get national vendors for the Century project?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
okay. So, any opposed? Are we on any opposed? This motion passed? Is that where we were? Okay. The next item is to adopt the emergency school closure resolution. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board adopt the emergency school closure resolution as read into the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I was in favor, and this motion passed. The final item of business is to hear on second reading for adoption, policy 2201, meetings of the board, with the deletion of the sentence, time limits, regarding time limits. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board hear on second reading for adoption the following policies presented. Policy 2201, meetings of the board, omitting the comment, or do we just, is it not necessarily omitting, we just set it to the side for
Yeah, we're just
further
approving it
discussion
without that.
Without
and then
that,
we'll
and
decide.
then,
Yeah.
and then we don't have to mention my comment until the next time, is that correct?
Yeah.
There's my motion.
Any discussion? Sorry, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? We're all good with that? Oh, okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This motion passed. That concludes this meeting. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.